Hello there. Although the British rate the Labour Party significantly better than the Conservatives, the politicians around Keir Starmer have a problem. They don't trust their own strength. The Labour Party, says London politics professor Anand Menon in an interview with the German newspaper Süddeutsche Zeitung on Wednesday, is like Arsenal have been in recent years. They lead 2-0 and yet they're afraid they'll lose. Football analogies always work in England, but the comparison between Arsenal London and Labour is particularly good now, not only because Labour boss Keir Starmer likes to emphasize that he's a passionate Arsenal fan. The club last won the league title under Arsene Wenger in 2004, after which the team became increasingly fragile. The distrust of one's own strength is still there today. If there were a table of UK political parties, Labour would currently be where Arsenal are in the Premier League, number one. In poll terms, the lead over the Tories is 17 points, the widest gap in 20 years. At that time, a certain Tony Blair was Prime Minister. And the party conference in Liverpool was correspondingly brilliant, but beyond the main stage in the hall, there remained the carefully whispered skepticism that brought Menon to the Arsenal comparison. In the past 12 years, Labour has lost elections so often and sometimes so clearly that skepticism will probably only disappear once the title or election has actually been won. Parallels were often drawn in Liverpool to the new Labour era with Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, those years when Labour was at times more popular than ever before and ever since. On Wednesday, for example, Labour Deputy Leader Angela Rayner had a Brown moment as she enumerated the achievements of previous Labour governments, her voice rising as she did so, and the people in the chamber jumped and cheered as Rayner continued to speak, as Gordon Brown once did on this party congress. Except Angela Rayner isn't Gordon Brown, Keir Starmer isn't Tony Blair. New Labour was not a time of skepticism, and importantly, the next election was not 2 years away. Of course, all opposition parties are now calling for snap elections, but Truss would be foolish to actually call a snap election before the end of 2024. It's hard to imagine that the Tories, who won an 80-seat majority with Johnson in 2019, are currently even close to winning the elections. Of course, it cannot be ruled out that the situation in the country, and thus also for Liz Truss, will improve again when the winter is over and energy spending falls. But it seems more likely that Labour will increase to 3-0 or 4-0 next year with Captain Starmer. A 5-0 also seems possible. Keir Starmer's poll numbers are no more than solid. He is not an instinctive politician, nor is he a stirring speaker. Everything he does is weighed up several times. For the first few years as Labour leader, he has set himself a three-phased plan to which he has so far stubbornly stuck, as if he were in a sealed basement laboratory. After phase 1, that was reforming the party, and phase 2, pointing out the government's weaknesses, phase 3 now begins, positioning one's party as the ruling party. Starmer ticked off phase 1 alone. With phase 2, Boris Johnson helped him. And in phase 3, Liz Truss could now become his most important player. No, Keir Starmer is not Tony Blair, but maybe he doesn't have to be. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.